This story right here that I'm about to tell you, I feel should have came out last week before the Super Bowl, but I understand why they decided to release this story this week with the Super Bowl. So I don't have to give this person no introduction. Y'all know who this is on the screen. So let's just go ahead and get into the story itself. So we all know what happened with Janet Jackson in the Super Bowl halftime performance with her and Justin Timberlake back in 2004. I can't believe it's going to be 20 years next year since that happened. You know, that pretty much caught everybody by surprise. It pretty much took the world by storm. And that situation right there, as legendary as she wasn't even at that time, it literally put a halt on her career while Justin Timberlake was able to continue to thrive. And what I'm glad is that Janet Jackson has such a huge fan base still to this day that people are not letting CBS, the Grammys, I guess you could say the NFL, and those who were over the Super Bowl at that time, and of course Les Moonves, forget about how dirty hand that she got dealt. Because if y'all don't remember, she was supposed to perform or supposed to be at the Grammys that following week. Because, you know, back then, the Grammys was always after the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was always that first Sunday, and then the Grammys was that following Sunday. But now they flipped it where the Grammys is the previous Sunday and the Super Bowl was the following Sunday. And she wasn't able to perform. They literally snatched her from the program because of that incident. And at that time, the Super Bowl used to air on CBS, and now it airs on Fox. I feel like I'm showing my age, but it is what it is. And literally, a lot of people thought her career was going to end after that particular incident because nothing had been seen like that happen on a network like CBS. But to not go into the whole details and everything like that, let's fast forward a few more years later. You know, some stuff had came out about Les Moonves and all of the stuff he was doing, all the shady things he was doing. And one of those things that came up was about Janet Jackson and how he literally blocked her from a lot of things. Because, you know, Les Moonves at the time was the CEO of CBS. So he was running things over there, and he literally helped in the blackballing of Janet Jackson because of that incident at the Super Bowl. He was the one that told her that she couldn't come to the Grammys. He was the one that told her that if there was any kind of CBS events that was hosted by CBS and any of its subsidiaries, even off of CBS, she couldn't be a part of it. Like literally, he helped to hinder her career, and all of that got exposed along with all the other dirty, shady dealings that he was involved with. Now you really haven't heard from Les Moonves since. And all Janet Jackson and I think what mainly her fans really wanted was an apology. Well, let's fast forward to now, because Janet Jackson was supposed to get something called the Global Impact Award at some kind of pre-Grammy event. Now, the story goes that she wasn't able to attend the main Grammy event. Well, let me back that up. That she wasn't able to attend the event in order to receive the award, which was separate from the Grammys. It was actually, I think, a week before the Grammys because of a scheduling thing. So they said, okay, fine. How about we just give her the award on the main stage? Because, you know, a lot of people would tune in for something like that. But that wasn't going to work either, because then that means Janet Jackson would have to get back onto the main stage that she wasn't able to get on since years prior to 2004. Janet Jackson has not been on a Grammy stage or a Grammy event since that incident. So you're talking almost 20 years since she's made an appearance at the Grammys. And she said, the only way that I will come onto your show and accept this award is if you give me a public apology. If CBS gives me a public apology. Do you think that CBS gave her that apology? Nope. And Janet Jackson returned with, okay, then I won't attend your event. How about that? So let me go ahead now and get into the article itself, because there's some more stuff in there, but that's the stuff that I know off the top of my head. According to reports, Janet Jackson was set to receive the Global Impact Award during a pre-Grammy event with the Black Music Collective several days before the main event. However, she could not make it to the pre-Grammy event because of her schedule, so an alternative was proposed. The alternative was not that great of an option either, since it would have involved Jackson working with CBS again. Marca reported that this could not be done due to an incident that involved the singer and Justin Timberlake during the Super Bowl halftime show in 2004. While the pair were performing, Timberlake accidentally ripped off a part of Jackson's costume, which exposed her breast and nipple. According to reports, CBS was furious with what happened and named her persona non grata. The singer demanded an apology but was not given one. The status of the Grammy Award was sort of thrown into the air since neither Jackson nor CBS was willing to let up. Since CBS has had a hand in the Grammy Awards, she was also pulled from being invited to the prestigious award show, and reports say that Lil Wayne ended up receiving the award. So, and see how petty CBS was? Because they didn't want to give her an apology. Mind you, Les Moonves was the one that pulled the strings to get her pulled from a lot of CBS events. We have seen so many more untamed things since then, and people still get invited to these shows. Like, think about some of the stuff that you see on award shows now compared to what happened at the Super Bowl with her and Justin Timberlake back in 2004. It's way more crazier than it was then. Of course, then that was seen as controversial because that's not something you saw all the time. But even in years prior, you saw some wild, crazy things. But let's just be real with ourselves here. She had three things working against her. One, she's a black woman. Two, her last name is Jackson, and that segues into number three. Number three was her brother Michael at the time was getting ready to segue into that next rounds of allegations. I don't know. I can't remember if all of that was happening at the time. I think it was, because I think Michael Jackson had did that Living in Neverland mockumentary with that hack Martin Bashir. If y'all remember that one, y'all remember. If you know, you know. If you was there to watch that, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. As a matter of fact, you can see that whole documentary on YouTube now and see that thing just was not a good look at all. Because that right there, in my opinion, was like a whole setup. But I'm not going to get into all of that. But I think she had those three things working against her right there as well, on top of the obvious. But the fact that that CBS said, okay, fine. Well, since you want to act all uppity, we're just going to give your award away. Mind you, this award was supposed to be for her. It's called the Global Impact Award. They don't just give that to anybody. They just snatched it away from her because she wanted an apology from them and said, okay, we're just going to give it to Lil Wayne then. Nothing against Lil Wayne, but I'm going to be honest, he wouldn't have been my first, third, fourth, or fifth pick for that. But I'm not the one who's over the committee. Fans were pissed that Jackson was not honored with the award, but commented the singer for standing her ground against the network. Janet Jackson will forever be a queen. She was blackballed but held her head high. She took all the backlash with grace. Shame on them for never apologizing to her, even after all of these years, a fan wrote. Another called out CBS actions towards Jackson. The media never wants to admit they were wrong. They have treated both Michael and Janet horrendously. They preach about accountability to power, but don't like being held accountable for their abuse of power themselves. Another wrote, I actually feel really sad for her. She doesn't deserve to be treated like this after all these years. Unbelievable. CBS do better. Well, you know what? I don't think CBS can do better. They can only do worse. More reason to not watch the Grammys. Their ratings keep plummeting for a reason. As a matter of fact, I don't know if this article is going to mention it or not, but they actually declared the Super Bowl Sunday, her fans anyway, declared it as Janet Jackson Day, or National Janet Jackson Day. I think they started doing that. It's fairly recent. It's not that old, like a couple years ago. And basically the whole day is dedicated to a lot of people listening to her music, more so streaming her music. So the streaming sales of all of her old music can go up to really do good numbers on those particular days, which I can't even knock them for that. Kudos to her fans for actually doing that. Another wrote, and y'all wonder why the ratings of all these shows are free falling. Another one wrote, I was a freaking child when that happened. Why do we continue to do the most influential people in the industry so dirty? Another person wrote, CBS is so unserious. Another added. And that's pretty much it. And I keep telling people, in case y'all didn't know, YouTube was founded off of this incident because so many people wanted to watch that over and over again. And the founders of YouTube at the time said, you know what? Many people want to watch this continuously over and over again. We need to come up with a platform so people can watch not only this if they wanted to, but to watch anything that they wanted online, revolutionize online television, so to speak, or what would end up turning into that. And you know what? I don't know why Janet Jackson never got some kind of a check from YouTube at the time for doing that. That's heavily documented in case y'all did not know. So here you see it right here. According to Jawed Kareem, and I wanted to go and pull it up just in case people didn't believe me. He was the one who initially came up with it, and he told USA Today it grew from two very different events. Janet Jackson's Nipplegate at the 2004 Super Bowl and the tsunami in Asia that year. While these events are about as different as you can get, what linked them for Kareem was that for both it was hard to find video online. So there you go. These two events right here is what inspired the founding of what will become YouTube. So I truly believe Janet deserves something from them. And I said that for quite some time, but I doubt she'll get it. If CBS ain't going to budge, I don't think YouTube will be either. Although I think she might actually work out better from YouTube than CBS, but that's just my theory. But yeah, CBS is trash. They will continue to be trash. Janet Jackson is a legend and an icon in her own right. So, I mean, even if she doesn't get that apology from CBS like she should, it's not going to really make or break her, so to speak. But another person that a lot of people feel that she should have gotten an apology from is this guy right here, Justin Timberlake, because this was not a one-party thing when that incident happened back in 2004. He has just as much a role to play in this as she does, as well as CBS and all of that. But the only person that suffered from all of this was Janet. Justin Timberlake went on to thrive in his career. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he was able to attend the Grammys that following week. Janet was not. They told her not to come. As a matter of fact, just burn your invite and pretend we didn't even send it to you. And to this day, she still doesn't attend. Like, she can easily probably go if she wanted to now, especially since Les Moonves is not even there anymore. But what's the point? So, like her fans said, kudos to her for standing her ground and not budging until she gets what she feels she deserves out of them. And it's just an apology. That's all she wants, is a genuine, heartfelt apology. But the fact that it took them, or it's taken them 20 years first to try to acknowledge her with some kind of award, tells you they are shady in every sense of the word. And they have no intent of apologizing to her at all, because if it takes you almost 20 years to apologize, then I wouldn't want it. And the fact that the person who is deserving of the apology is demanding that you give the apology means it won't be genuine, because that means they got to force it out of it. They got to pull that apology out of you. So what's the point? So I think Janet is doing fine right where she is. Let her continue to do her. I believe she's about to go on tour with Ludacris. So let her just go ahead and focus on getting prepared for that tour and continuing to be the legend and icon that we have all grown to know her to be.